Hi, Troy Kinnunen.
And spell that last name.
K-I-N-U-N-E-N.
And tell me what we're doing here today.
Today we're here with Heritage Auctions to talk about the greatest Muhammad Ali collection ever assembled.
And tell me about some of that collection, like, what do we have here a little bit and why you sell it.
Okay, so I've been a collector of Muhammad Ali memorabilia for 30 plus years, and I put together what some feel is the greatest collection ever. The collection, it spans his entire life, from when he was a little kid to his golden age boxing, to the 1960 Olympics, to his early professional career, to his championship victory over Sonny Liston, all the way through his refusal of induction to the military. We also have some stuff that deals with his social justice causes that he believed in. And then we have memorabilia from the 1971 fight versus Joe Frazier, the Rumble in the Jungle, the Thrill in Manila, the 3 epic battles versus Ken Norton. There's autographs, fight-worn memorabilia, some photo-matched. We have gloves, we have trunks, we have robes, programs, tickets, posters, and it's a memorabilia. There's something for everybody.
And why did you choose to sell these at this time?
After collecting stuff for 35 years, I had accumulated a lot of stuff. And when I took it out of storage and I decided I wanted to try to display it, I just didn't have the proper space. And also, from the time I started collecting, Muhammad Ali had passed away, and there was a lot of media coming out and documentaries, and his profile had risen, and I realized that the message and what Muhammad Ali represented was a lot more than what I could do with justice. So I decided to work with Heritage Auctions to offer this collection back to the people.
It's different when you go closer. You can see the colors. It's great.
You just shoot on a stand-up color with everything.
No, stand up. I don't use brawlers or anything. We have a new setting that we've got.
On that picture. And if you look at his eyes, they're steely. He's got steely determination. The photographer probably didn't know it, but he's looking at him saying, I'm the heavyweight champion of the world someday. And he went on to do it. This is one of the only, this is a world heavyweight championship belt. Just like a Super Bowl trophy, this is the pinnacle of the sport. When you win the championship, you get awarded the belt. This is what every boxer in the history of the sport strive for. And here's an actual belt that was given to Muhammad Ali by the WBC when he became World Heavyweight Championship versus George Foreman at the Rumble in the Jungle. This may be the most historic photo in the collection. And you might recognize this guy as Malcolm X. And most people say, oh, that's Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali. It's not. For about a 2-week period, he changed his name from Cassius Clay to Cassius X. So that photograph was taken when he was going by Cassius X, and he obviously took that name from his influence from Malcolm X. So it's a very rare, very historically significant photo. Here's a boxing glove, 1963, signed vintage pen from Cassius Clay, but next heavyweight champion of the world, he wrote on it. It was 1 year before he would fight Sonny Liston, but he was so confident that he was going to become heavyweight champion that he started signing autographs next heavyweight champion. This item is a ticket stub from the Thrill of Manila. It was oversized, which is kind of nice. Most ticket stubs are standard size, but we had it authenticated by PSA, and it's one of the only surviving examples in the world. This piece is a medallion. It's a coin that Muhammad Ali personally had encased as a necklace, and he gave that to dear friends and members of his entourage. Now we're looking at his mouth guard, and what's significant about that mouth guard is he wore that versus George Frank. What's significant about this is he wore it versus George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle, and that's the mouthpiece he actually had in his mouth during the whole fight. And his voice, all his taunts to George Foreman during the course of that epic battle, passed over that mouth guard. So that was a really, really important piece of history. Finally, you're going to see some authenticated programs. We had CGC. This is some of the first sports memorabilia they ever authenticated. This is the Golden Gloves program from the Columbia Gym when he first started out. It's the earliest example known. The next piece is an authenticated program from the Sonny Liston fight. That's the one where he became heavyweight champion. That's in high demand. Programs are red hot in the sports memorabilia market right now. And this is the program that encapsulated, Muhammad Ali as champion. And finally, he made the cover of Time magazine in 1963. And magazines were meant to be read, so to find one in a 9.0 grade is very rare. And this is an extremely, extremely pristine example, and one of the finest examples that ever survived. We're looking at this red velour robe, and Muhammad Ali wore this in 1971 at Madison Square Garden when he fought Joe Frazier. And most of the photographs you'll see he was wearing a white robe. Well, because this was simply billed as the fight and it was such a big event, he wanted to help really promote the fight and be flashy, so he wore this red robe. He lost the fight, unfortunately, to Joe Frazier, and he always blamed that loss on the robe. But after losing the fight, trained harder and came back and beat Joe Frazier again. And then he ended up beating George Foreman the championship to win the World Heavyweight Championship again. But this shows Muhammad Ali's ability to overcome defeat. This represents the comeback. So even though this was his first loss, it was also his most important fight because it was the comeback. And Muhammad Ali was constantly coming back. He was coming back from adversity. He was coming back from Parkinson's. And this is a piece that a collector that owns this, we've all had adversity. So this represents all of our ability to come back from the things that tried to beat us down. Sure, I'll go for that. And the final piece, this is a terry cloth robe. He had these made for him. He wore a lot of them at Deer Lake and the other places where he trained. It's just got Muhammad Ali on the back, and there's many photographs of him after the fight. He put on the robe, he cooled down, and he'd sit in the ring, and hundreds of fans would sit around, and he would tell stories, and he would continue to entertain. So even though this is a fight worn, this was worn by Muhammad Ali, and it usually meant he was interacting with the fans who he loved so much. Anything else?
Great job.
Close-ups on anything?
Yeah.